My name is Ethan Harper, and my story begins in the quiet, unassuming town of Maplewood, located in the heart of Wisconsin. Raised by hardworking parents who instilled in me the values of diligence and honesty, I grew up in a typical middle-class family. My father was an electrician and my mother was a nurse, both of whom worked tirelessly to provide for me and my younger sister, Emily. From a young age, I was fascinated by computers. I spent countless hours tinkering with old machines, learning to code, and dreaming of a future in technology. This passion guided me through high school, where I excelled in math and science. My teachers recognized my potential and encouraged me to pursue a career in technology. After graduating from high school, I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I majored in computer science. College was a transformative experience, filled with late-night coding sessions, intense exams, and the camaraderie of fellow tech enthusiasts. I joined the computer club, participated in hackathons, and interned at various tech companies during the summer breaks. These experiences not only honed my technical skills but also taught me the importance of teamwork and perseverance. Upon graduation, I landed a job at INFIDELITY Solutions, a mid-sized tech company in Milwaukee that specialized in developing custom software for a variety of clients, from small businesses to large corporations. It wasn't a glamorous position, but it was a solid start, and it paid the bills. I moved into a modest apartment near the office and began my career as a software developer. It was at INFIDELITY Solutions that I met Julia. She was a project manager, efficient and sharp, with a natural talent for keeping projects on track. Julia had an infectious laugh and a warm smile that could light up a room. Our paths crossed frequently, and it didn't take long for us to hit it off. We started working on a project together for a major client, and our professional relationship quickly turned into a personal one. Julia and I began dating, and our connection grew stronger with each passing day. We shared a love for the outdoors and spent our weekends hiking in the nearby Kettle Moraine State Forest, exploring the scenic trails and enjoying the beauty of nature. We also loved cooking together, experimenting with new recipes and hosting dinner parties for our friends. After a year and a half of dating, we got married in a modest ceremony attended by family and close friends. The first few years of our marriage were blissful. We bought a charming two-story house in the suburbs of Maplewood, complete with a white picket fence and a small garden. It was the kind of place I had always dreamed of. We settled into a comfortable routine, working hard during the week and spending weekends exploring the town, dining out, and enjoying each other's company. However, things began to change about 5 years into our marriage. I was promoted to a senior developer position at INFIDELITY, which meant longer hours and more responsibilities. I was thrilled with the promotion. It felt like the culmination of years of hard work. But it also meant I was often working late into the night and bringing work home on the weekends. Julia, meanwhile, was excelling in her career as well. She was promoted to a senior project manager at TechPulse, a rapidly growing tech company in Milwaukee. Her new role came with its own set of challenges and late nights. Julia's company was expanding rapidly, and she was often required to travel for business meetings and conferences. Our lives became increasingly hectic, and we began to drift apart. At first, the changes were subtle. We would eat dinner in silence, both exhausted from our demanding jobs. Our conversations became perfunctory, limited to discussions about work or household matters. Dear viewers, more than 90% watch my content without subscribing. If you still have not subscribed, then I ask you to do so. For me, this is the best motivation to continue. I noticed Julia spending more time on her phone, texting or scrolling through social media. I didn't think much of it at first. After all, we were both busy and stressed. Then came the business trips. Julia's company started sending her out of town more frequently. At first, it was just a day or two, but then it turned into week-long trips. She was always going to these conferences and meetings, and I was left to hold down the fort at home. I didn't mind, though. I trusted her completely. We had always been honest with each other, and I had no reason to suspect anything was amiss. One night, about a year ago, I was working late on a particularly challenging project. It was around midnight when I decided to call it a night. As I was shutting down my computer, I heard a ping from Julia's laptop, which she had left on the kitchen table. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from someone named Alex. It was a brief message, just a "Good night, beautiful," but it stopped me in my tracks. I felt a chill run down my spine. Who was this Alex, and why was he calling my wife beautiful? I knew I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but something about that message didn't sit right with me. I tried to push it out of my mind, telling myself it was probably just a harmless message from a friend. But the seed of doubt had been planted. Over the next few weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Julia's business trips became more frequent, and she seemed more distant than ever. I noticed she was more guarded with her phone, always keeping it close and never leaving it unattended. I tried to talk to her about it, but she brushed off my concerns, saying I was just being paranoid. One weekend, while Julia was away on another trip, I decided to do some digging. I felt guilty for snooping, but I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling in my gut. I opened her laptop and searched for any clues. It didn't take long to find an email exchange with Alex. The messages were intimate, filled with terms of endearment and plans to meet up. My heart sank as I realized the truth. Julia was having an affair. I felt like my world had been turned upside down. The woman I had loved and trusted for years had betrayed me. I didn't know what to do or how to confront her. Part of me wanted to pack my bags and leave, but another part of me needed answers. I needed to understand why she had done this and if there was any chance of saving our marriage. When Julia returned from her trip, I decided to confront her. It was a Saturday morning, and we were having breakfast. I could barely look at her, my mind racing with everything I had discovered. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer. "Julia, we need to talk," I said, my voice shaking. She looked up from her plate, a puzzled expression on her face. "What's wrong, Ethan?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "I know about Alex." Her face went pale, and for a moment she looked like she might deny it. But then she sighed and put down her fork. "Ethan, How long has this been going on?" I interrupted, my anger bubbling to the surface. "About 6 months," she admitted, looking down at her hands. "It started as just a friendship, but then it turned into something more." "Why?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why would you do this to us?" Julia looked up, tears in her eyes. "I don't know, Ethan. I felt lonely and Alex was there for me. He made me feel special, like I mattered." "And I didn't?" I shot back, unable to hide the bitterness in my voice. "It's not that, Ethan. You've always been a good husband, but we were both so busy with work, and I felt like we were growing apart. I made a mistake, and I'm so sorry." Her words felt like a slap in the face. I had been working hard to provide for us, to build a future together, and this was how she repaid me. I didn't know what to say, so I got up and walked out of the house. I needed time to think, to process everything. I drove around aimlessly for hours, my mind racing. I thought about all the good times we had shared, the plans we had made for the future. It all felt meaningless now. How could I ever trust her again? That night, I stayed at a hotel, unable to face her. I needed space to figure out what to do next. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, trying to focus on my job, but my mind kept drifting back to Julia and Alex. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could think about was the betrayal. Eventually, I realized I needed to talk to someone. I confided in my best friend Matt, who had known Julia and me since college. He was shocked and angry on my behalf, but he also offered some sage advice. "Ethan, you need to decide what you want," he said. "Do you want to try to work things out with Julia, or is this something you can't forgive? Either way, you need to have a serious conversation with her and figure out what comes next." Matt's words hit home. I knew he was right. I couldn't keep running away from this. I needed to face it head on and make a decision. So I called Julia and asked her to meet me at a coffee shop near our house. When she arrived, she looked tired and anxious. We sat down, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, I broke the silence. "Julia, I need to know if you want to save our marriage," I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Ethan. I love you, and I want to make things right." Dear viewers, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. I will be very grateful to you. I'll do whatever it takes. "Then we need to go to counseling," I said firmly. "We need to work through this together and rebuild the trust that's been broken." Julia agreed, and we started seeing a marriage counselor the following week. The sessions were tough, forcing us to confront our issues and communicate openly. It was painful, but it also brought us closer in some ways. We talked about our fears, our insecurities, and the things that had driven us apart. As the weeks turned into months, I began to see a glimmer of hope. Julia was committed to making amends, and I could see the effort she was putting into rebuilding our relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I doubted if we could ever fully recover. But we kept pushing forward, one step at a time. Through it all, I learned a lot about myself and about forgiveness. I realized that holding on to anger and resentment would only eat away at me. If I truly wanted to move forward, I needed to let go of the past and focus on the present. It's been a year since I discovered the affair, and while things are not perfect, we are in a better place. Julia and I have reconnected in ways I never thought possible. We still have our struggles, but we face them together, with honesty and openness. Betrayal is a wound that cuts deep, but with time and effort, it can heal. Our marriage may never be the same, but we've built something new, something stronger, and for that, I'm grateful. The process of rebuilding our marriage was arduous and required a level of honesty and vulnerability that neither of us had ever experienced before. Our marriage counselor, Dr. Thompson, was a middle-aged woman with a calm demeanor and a knack for asking the right questions. Her office was a safe space where we could express our feelings without fear of judgment. In our first few sessions, Dr. Thompson focused on helping us understand the root causes of the affair. She explained that infidelity often stems from deeper issues within the relationship, and that it was crucial for us to address those issues if we wanted to move forward. One of the most challenging aspects of counseling was learning to communicate effectively. Julia and I had fallen into a pattern of avoiding difficult conversations, and this avoidance had created a chasm between us. Dr. Thompson encouraged us to speak openly about our feelings, even when it was uncomfortable. "I feel like you don't appreciate me," Julia said during one session, her voice trembling. "I've been working so hard, and I feel like you don't even notice." I was taken aback by her words. "I'm sorry, Julia. I've been so focused on my own work that I didn't realize how much you were struggling. I do appreciate you, more than you know." These kinds of conversations were painful but necessary. They helped us uncover the underlying issues that had contributed to the affair and allowed us to begin the process of healing. We learned to be more present for each other, to listen without interrupting, and to validate each other's feelings. In addition to counseling, we also made changes in our daily lives to rebuild trust. We started spending more quality time together, setting aside one evening a week for a date night. These date nights became a cherished tradition, a time for us to reconnect and enjoy each other's company without the distractions of work or technology. As we kneaded the dough and chopped vegetables side by side, I felt a sense of closeness that I hadn't felt in a long time. We laughed, made a mess, and created a delicious meal together. It was a small step, but it felt like a significant one. We also started taking long walks together in the evenings. Maplewood had several beautiful parks, and we made it a habit to explore them. Walking provided a relaxed setting for us to talk about our day, our dreams, and our fears. It was during these walks that we had some of our most meaningful conversations. One evening, as we walked along a path lined with blooming cherry trees, Julia turned to me and said, "Ethan, I want to make things right. I want to be the wife you deserve." Her words touched me deeply. "Julia, I want to be the husband you deserve too. We've both made mistakes, but I believe we can get through this together." The process of rebuilding trust also involved setting boundaries and creating new habits. We agreed to be more transparent with each other, to share our schedules, and to check in regularly. Julia stopped traveling for work as frequently, and when she did travel, we made sure to stay in touch through video calls and messages. We also made a pact to never keep secrets from each other. If something was bothering us, we promised to talk about it openly. This newfound honesty was difficult at times, but it was essential for rebuilding the foundation of our relationship. Despite our efforts, there were moments of doubt and insecurity. I struggled with feelings of jealousy and mistrust, especially when Julia's phone buzzed with a message or she mentioned a male colleague. These feelings were a constant reminder of the betrayal, and they often triggered intense emotions. During one particularly difficult night, I found myself lying awake, unable to shake the feeling of unease. Julia was asleep beside me, and I could hear the soft rhythm of her breathing. I knew I needed to talk about what I was feeling, but I didn't want to wake her. The next morning over breakfast, I finally mustered the courage to bring it up. "Julia, I've been feeling really anxious lately. Every time your phone buzzes, I can't help but think about what happened." Julia looked at me with understanding in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Ethan. I know it's going to take time for you to trust me again. I promise I'm not hiding anything from you. Her reassurance helped, but it didn't erase the pain. I realized that rebuilding trust was a slow and ongoing process. It required patience, understanding, and a willingness to confront our fears head-on. One day, while sorting through some old boxes in the attic, I came across our wedding album. I sat down and flipped through the pages, reminiscing about the happy memories captured in the photos. Our wedding day had been perfect, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future together. As I looked at the photos of Julia and me, smiling and carefree, I felt a pang of sadness. How had we drifted so far from that moment? But as I continued to flip through the pages, I also felt a renewed sense of determination. We had been through so much, but we were still standing. We had the strength to overcome this challenge and rebuild our marriage. I brought the album downstairs and showed it to Julia. We sat together on the couch, reminiscing about our wedding day and the early years of our marriage. It was a poignant reminder of the love we had shared and the journey we had embarked on together. Do you remember our honeymoon in Napa Valley? Julia asked, a smile spreading across her face. Of course I do, I replied. That was one of the best trips we ever took. We spent the rest of the evening reminiscing about our adventures, the places we had visited, and the memories we had created. It was a reminder of the bond we had shared and the reasons we had fallen in love in the first place. As time went on, we continued to make progress. Our counseling sessions became less frequent, and we felt more confident in our ability to navigate challenges on our own. We had learned to communicate more effectively, to be more present for each other, and to prioritize our relationship. One evening, as we were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, Julia turned to me and said, Ethan, I'm grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us stronger. I nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. I'm grateful too, Julia. We've come a long way, and I believe we have a bright future ahead. The journey of rebuilding our marriage had been filled with ups and downs, but it had also brought us closer together. We had faced our fears, confronted our insecurities, and emerged stronger on the other side. Betrayal is a wound that cuts deep, but with time, effort, and a commitment to growth, it can heal. Our marriage may never be the same as it was before, but it had evolved into something new, something stronger. And for that, I was grateful. As the months went by, Julia and I continued to work on our relationship. We had come a long way, but we knew that the journey was far from over. We were determined to keep moving forward, to build a future together that was stronger and more resilient. One of the ways we did this was by setting new goals and dreams for our future. We talked about the things we wanted to achieve, both individually and as a couple. Julia expressed her desire to pursue a new career path, one that would allow her to spend more time at home and less time traveling. She had always been passionate about interior design, and she decided to take the leap and start her own business. I fully supported her decision and encouraged her to follow her dreams. Julia enrolled in an online course to get certified in interior design, and she began building her portfolio. I could see the excitement in her eyes as she worked on her projects, and it made me happy to see her so fulfilled. Meanwhile, I also set new goals for myself. I had always dreamed of starting my own tech company, and I decided that it was time to make that dream a reality. I began working on a business plan, researching the market, and networking with potential investors. It was a daunting task, but I was motivated by the desire to create something meaningful. Julia and I also made it a priority to spend more quality time together. We continued our weekly date nights and found new activities to enjoy as a couple. We took up gardening, planting flowers and vegetables in our backyard. It was a rewarding hobby that allowed us to work together and enjoy the beauty of nature. We also started volunteering at a local animal shelter. Both of us had a soft spot for animals, and it felt good to give back to the community. We spent our weekends walking dogs, cleaning kennels, and helping with adoption events. It was a fulfilling way to spend our time and brought us closer together. Our efforts to rebuild our marriage were paying off, but there were still moments of doubt and insecurity. There were times when the memories of the affair would resurface, triggering feelings of pain and mistrust. During these moments, we reminded ourselves of the progress we had made and the commitment we had to each other. One evening, as we were sitting in the living room, Julia turned to me and said, "Ethan, I want to thank you for giving us a second chance. I know it hasn't been easy, but I'm so grateful for your forgiveness and love." I looked into her eyes and smiled. "Julia, I believe in us. We've been through so much, and we've come out stronger."
I'm grateful for you too, and I'm excited about our future together. Our journey of healing and growth continued, and we found new ways to strengthen our bond. We took a trip to Europe, exploring the historic cities of Paris, Rome, and Barcelona. It was an unforgettable adventure that allowed us to create new memories and deepen our connection. As we strolled through the charming streets of Paris, hand in hand, I couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. We had come a long way from the dark days of betrayal and pain. Our love had been tested, but it had also been renewed. One of the most significant moments in our journey came when Julia discovered she was pregnant. The news filled us with a mix of excitement and anxiety. We had always wanted to start a family, but the timing had never felt right. Now, it felt like a new beginning, a chance to build a future together. The pregnancy brought us even closer. We attended prenatal classes, decorated the nursery, and talked about our hopes and dreams for our child.
It was a time of anticipation and joy, and it reminded us of the strength of our love. When our daughter Lily was born, it was one of the happiest days of our lives. Holding her in my arms, I felt a profound sense of love and responsibility. Julia and I were now parents, and it was a role we embraced with all our hearts. Parenthood brought its own set of challenges, but it also deepened our bond. We learned to navigate the sleepless nights, the endless diaper changes, and the joys of watching Lily grow. We supported each other, sharing the responsibilities and celebrating the milestones. As Lily grew, so did our love for each other. We continued to prioritize our relationship, making time for date nights, weekend getaways, and moments of connection. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had also been filled with love and growth. Looking back, I realized that the affair had been a turning point in our marriage. It had forced us to confront our issues, to communicate more openly, and to prioritize our relationship. It had been a painful and difficult journey, but it had also been a journey of healing and transformation. Today, Julia and I are in a better place. Our marriage is stronger than ever, built on a foundation of trust, love, and mutual respect. We have learned to navigate the challenges together, to support each other's dreams, and to cherish the moments of joy. Betrayal is a wound that cuts deep, but it can also be a catalyst for growth and healing. Our marriage may never be the same as it was before, but it has evolved into something new, something stronger, and for that I am grateful. As I look at Julia and Lily, I am filled with a sense of hope and optimism. Our journey is far from over, but I am confident that we can face whatever comes our way. Together we have weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side, and for that, I am truly thankful. As our lives continued to evolve, Julia and I found ourselves embracing new challenges and opportunities. Lily was growing up quickly, and every day brought new milestones and moments of joy. Parenthood was an adventure that brought us closer, and it reminded us of the importance of being present and supportive for each other. Julia's interior design business was thriving. She had built a strong client base and was receiving positive feedback for her work. Her creativity and passion shone through in every project she took on, and I was incredibly proud of her achievements. Watching her succeed in her new career was inspiring, and it motivated me to continue pursuing my own dreams. I had finally taken the plunge and started my own tech company, Harper Tech Innovations. The initial months were challenging, filled with long hours and sleepless nights, but the hard work was paying off. We had secured our first few clients and were working on innovative software solutions that had the potential to make a significant impact. Balancing our careers and family life was a constant juggling act, but we had learned to support each other and share the responsibilities. We made it a point to prioritize our family time, ensuring that we were present for Lily's milestones and creating lasting memories together. One weekend, we decided to take a family trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. We rented a cozy cabin in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and spent our days hiking, exploring the scenic trails, and enjoying the beauty of nature. It was a much-needed escape from the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, and it gave us the opportunity to reconnect as a family. On one of our hikes, as we reached a breathtaking viewpoint overlooking the mountains, I turned to Julia and said, "I'm so grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us stronger, and it's given us this beautiful life." Julia smiled. her eyes filled with love and contentment. I feel the same way, Ethan. We've faced so many challenges, but we've also built something amazing together. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Our trip to the Great Smoky Mountains was a reminder of the strength of our bond and the resilience of our love. It was a testament to the journey we had been on and the future we were building together. As the years went by, we continued to grow and evolve. Harper Tech Innovations expanded, and we hired a talented team to help us take the company to new heights. Julia's interior design business flourished, and she became known for her unique and innovative designs. We found a balance that worked for us, allowing us to support each other's careers while also prioritizing our family. Lily grew into a bright and curious child, always eager to learn and explore. We nurtured her interests and encouraged her to follow her passions. Watching her grow and develop her own personality was one of the greatest joys of our lives. Our journey had not been easy, but it had been filled with love, growth, and resilience. We had faced the darkest moments together and emerged stronger on the other side. Our marriage had been tested, but it had also been renewed. We had learned to communicate, to support each other, and to cherish the moments of joy. As I reflect on our journey, I am filled with a sense of gratitude. Betrayal is a wound that cuts deep, but it can also be a catalyst for growth and healing. Our marriage may never be the same as it was before, but it has evolved into something new, something stronger. And for that, I am grateful. Looking ahead, I'm excited about the future. Julia and I have built a life filled with love, trust, and mutual respect. We have learned to navigate the challenges together, to support each other's dreams, and to cherish the moments of joy. Our journey is far from over, but I am confident that we can face whatever comes our way. Together, we have weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side, and for that, I am truly thankful. As I hold Julia and Lily close, I am reminded of the power of love and resilience. We have faced the darkest moments together and emerged stronger on the other side. Our marriage may never be the same as it was before, but it has evolved into something new, something stronger, and for that, I am grateful. Our journey is far from over, but I am excited about the future and the adventures that await us.